Okay, we're all here. Not everybody yet.
Okay.
All right,
Okay.
we can start with questions if you have any question. Any question? Okay, I have Salma and I have Sahar. So we take it in that way. Salma, you go first, then Sahar will follow.
Thank you,
Please,
Bryce.
sorry, please mute yourself if you are not speaking, please.
Okay, so I'm actually revising the last table uh, with the last two columns, outcomes and the impact.
Mm-hmm.
There is because there is very fine line between the impact and the outcomes. Which one achieved the goal of our project, for example?
Well, both of them really, because it is um, the outcome that eventually results on the impact.
Okay.
But the outcome is some of the things you can already see tangibly from your project, the immediate impact from the example I explained.
Yeah.
That once we had this finding, the professional bodies how to provide interim statement based on the findings of the studies we have conducted. So that is an outcome.
Yeah. Okay. Now I understand.
But now the impact goes beyond that. The impact, it's what I was trying to describe before, that allergy is allergy and asthma diseases that affect the quality of life, you know, the output of people, the performance. So if from our study, we have an outcome that results to perhaps change in guidelines, what eventually happen in the long term is that the burden of allergy will reduce.
Yeah.
Society will function better because people who have this will be able to express themselves. Parents will not stay home as such to take care of the child because of the allergy, you know. So that is the impact of what.
I get that. Yeah, I get that point. But I'm talking particularly for the funders. For example, what exactly they need me. For example, when I finished my project, for example, I end up have my outcomes and also the report. So that is the end of my, for example, the information that I sent to the funders, for example, as a report, or and then the impact comes later.
So you are not the one to say, this is what you have done on the impact.
Yes, exactly. That's what I want to know.
So so that is why, you know, in the project I gave to the groups, that is why I said, don't do any project that does not have impact on Africa.
Okay. Yeah.
So those projects you select, you may end up designing, let's say, a strategy of planting trees. But you know that planting these trees will minimize the amount of water, you know, when it rains.
Yeah.
Okay. And it is possible that before you planted those trees, the flooding that has been happening in that place has been destroying the farmland. And that is bringing famine. People don't have food to eat. So you have planted these trees, and the trees have reduced flooding. And the impact it will have is that people will be able to farm, and they'll be able to eat. And if they'll be able to eat, they'll be healthy, and the society will function. So what you do is that when you send your report, you're not going to tell funder that the impact of my project was this, because the impact is a long-term thing. But when you write the application, you should demonstrate that if this project is conducted, in looking to the future, in 5 years from now, in 10 years from now, when we plant these trees, we will begin to see that farming will be reduced because people will go back to their farms. People will be able to produce food and they can eat, and it will result to healthy society. So you have to describe that so that I see that your project is not only giving you immediate outcome, but has a perspective in the future. And that will give them motivation to give you money to run.
Okay, clear, thank you.
Okay, Saha. Please unmute yourself.
Hello.
Yes, please go ahead.
Okay. Do you hear me?
Yeah, I hear you now.
Okay.
I don't hear you now at all. The line is very bad now. It's very, very bad.
Between the goal and okay. I will drop my question on the chat box.
No, you go ahead and I can hear you now.
Okay. I said I'm a little confused between the goal and the impact. You see the last two slides you presented, you get confused how to differentiate between the goal and the impact. Hello?
Yeah, I'm here. I will share this. So you mean this? So Sahar, just take the goal as the aim, of course. But here they have integrated both the aim and the statement around the impact. This is not an impact statement. This is a statement that integrates both what you want to do and what it will result. Okay. So this is kind of, they are giving overall picture that integrates both the aim and the impact statement. But when you say project goal, it is giving an impression of the aim you want to achieve. Okay. But here, because this is taken from the EMS page, it's taken from the EMS page, it has the aspect of the impact integrated into it. And that is what I was emphasizing, that when you write the EMS page, you should also integrate aspect of the impact in that statement. Is it clear for you?
Okay, it's clear now. Thank you. Yeah, it's clear. Thank you.
Okay, I have Bello Moniat.
Good afternoon.
Good afternoon.
I need more clarification on research uptake and impact. Are they the same or they are different?
Do what? No, I didn't get that. The clarification between?
I asked earlier, but I wasn't hearing your voice then. When you explained
what did
the difference between research uptake and impact.
Yeah. So I was saying that when you say research uptake, I mean, I'm not familiar with that terminology, but what I understand from it is that it may refer to utilization of the research outputs. Okay, and if that is the meaning, then I think it means the same thing as impact. That is, how would the findings be utilized in real life? Is that clear? Bello, is that clear?
Maybe I have a breaking network. Maybe I had a breaking network. I wasn't even hearing at all.
You didn't hear me at all?
I didn't. At all.
Do you hear me now? Do you hear me now? I think you have problem at your end. Perhaps we can come back to this later. Maybe when your network is stabilized, you can ask more. Okay, let's hear from group 5. Group 5, your nuggets. Is group 5 ready? Group 5. Group 5. Group 5. Anybody? Let me see those who are there.
Yeah. Hello.
Yes, Miriam, your line is not good at all. Does anyone else want to help?
Please, can you see my screen? Okay.
Who is speaking now?
It's Dorothea.
Okay, Dorothea, yeah, we can see your screen. Go ahead.
Oh, okay. So for us, we looked at the key mistakes that would annoy reviewers, and we propose what to do to avoid some of these mistakes. So the first point was disregarding the templates and formatting instructions. So what we agreed was that we have to strictly stick to guidelines of writing from the grant instructions. Look at the format and then follow it. We should avoid shortcuts or loopholes in the system and try to narrow our way around it, such as increasing the margins just to meet the page numbers if we go over. Then the next point was opening the application with long background text. So we think, reviewers are experts in the field and we shouldn't bore them with such a lengthy information, but we should go straight to the point to give brief background.
Sorry, Dorothea, your slide is not moving to the next. Can you move it to the next where you're speaking? Yeah.
You mean it's still on the first page?
Yeah, it's still on the first. I don't know if maybe that is what I'm seeing. I don't know if other people are seeing.
But I am seeing the second page on my screen. Maybe it's there.
Oh, okay, go ahead then.
Okay. So the second is to opening the application with long background text. That's also one thing to avoid. So to do that, we said we have to know that the reviewers are experts in the field, and therefore we should give very clear information and not bore them with long text that are unnecessary for the application or specific to the application. So in doing that, it means you have to research thoroughly and know your subject area before you start writing. It's not necessary that you fill in complete the whole page if it's not really necessary. And then the third point was to avoid copy and pasting. So most of the time when we are writing grants, we sort of want to go and copy from previous texts that we have. It's something that we should avoid. But even if we are going to do so, we make sure we revise several times. You can give it to a few colleagues to go over them and see if what we have written is logical. And we also have to sit back sometime and take a break and give our work some time so that when we come back, we have fresh eyes to look at them. And then the next point is to avoid repetition and redundancy, something that you have repeated in the background. You avoid repeating it in maybe sections of the aim and all that. So it's very important, but we have to state the exact point that is needed. So whatever information we are giving should be interesting and should be coherent. And we have to emphasize the main points.
Dorothy.
Hello.
I think you can go on. You can go on. Just
participants.
Okay, so we have to emphasize the main points and explain it clearly enough and not talk about it again subsequently, if that is what we have to do. And then we have to work within groups and make sure somebody sort of reads over to harmonize and ensure that these repetitions are not there. Sometimes when you're doing it single-handedly, you tend not to observe some of these mistakes. So you can let somebody look through for you so that these things are not repeated in some sections of the text. And then there's also the issue of lack of consistency in some of the project concepts. So these are some of the things to also avoid, things that will not make your reviewer happy, in the sense that the information you give should be consistent, in the sense that if you are saying you are measuring something, you are measuring A, you shouldn't go within the text and propose that you are also going to measure B when you haven't talked about it in the first place. So we have to be very specific and clear, and also be very consistent in what we propose. We shouldn't be beating about the bush. And then the next thing is not to mix what and how. Reviewers don't like that. We have to explain the what first, obviously, before we tell them how we want to do it. We don't start with how we want to do it when we haven't explained what we want to do. So it's very important we don't mix these two. And then aside these main points, the other things that we picked up is the fact that you have to be in the shoe of the reviewer. Look at your work with the reviewer's eye or a reviewer's mind and see what loopholes you find within your write-up and see how you can correct it. So that is what we have for Group 5. Thank you.
Okay, thank you very much. Thank you very much. I think those points are well noted. Any thoughts from any member of the group or other groups? Any points from anyone? It was clear. One thing I wanted to mention was the issue of repetition and redundancy. It's very important not to put things just for the sake of putting it there. You need to have a reason for putting it there. But that being said, that there could be a good repetition, okay? When the application is flowing, if it's flowing consistently, because it needs to flow. And you can see how the application developed. First of all, I said the EMS page is a miniature of the project. So the specific objectives you have mentioned in the EMS page, the outcomes, the impact statement, the brief methods you have mentioned in the EMS page, you need to repeat them when you go to the methods and the impact sections respectively, in which you expand on them. And then when you go to the methods part, as I showed you the framework today, bring out the M's, bring them, the specific M's, bring them out and describe your methods based on those M's. So such kind of repetition provide clarity, provide consistency. They are not redundant because it helps the reviewer to capture what you're looking at. And many of these reviewers really don't read your application at a go. They go, perhaps read up to a point and then come back later. So certain type of repetition that are focused can help them to still follow from where they stopped and capture what the project is about without forgetting some specific items. Okay. All right, any other issue? Otherwise, we move on. Okay, so here is the budget. I think some of you had already started trying to ask some questions yesterday and day before about the budget. Budget is very important because the funder then knows what you are asking for. The funder then knows whether they're able to meet the amount you're asking for. Many funders give you a range of costs they can provide, how much they can fund in a year. Some may say that they are funding between 50,000 and let's say 50,000 and 100,000 euros. So you can apply within this range. So in that case, the funder has given you a clue of what their minimum is and then what their maximum is. When you're writing your budget, you should limit yourself to what the funder has indicated. Sometimes you can also go beyond in the total budget. Sometimes when you have additional fund from elsewhere, for instance, your institution wants to support you. Let's say the institution will give you 20%. So when you cost the whole project, it is giving you, for instance, let's say 1 million euros. And then because your institution is giving you 20%, it means that what you ask from the funder would be 80%. So you can add all the money there and tell the funder that you are being supported by the institution for this 20% and you're asking money for the 80%. So the budget section is a place where you give details to the funders on how you plan to spend the money they have given you. Getting that money can be sweet. If you have gotten your first grant, it makes life quite exciting because you are able to. Are you hearing me, everyone?
Yes, Prof. Yes.
Okay, great.
We do.
Great.
Yes,
all right.
Prof.
Yes.
All
Yes,
right.
we are hearing.
If you get your, yeah, great. If you get your funding, then you are excited, really excited, of course, because the project you have proposed is what you have in your mind to do. You are passionate about it, and then you get this money that will let you do it. You are quite excited to work on your project. So money can be really good for a researcher to process your project. When you get the funding, there could be different types of costs associated with the budget. But generally we have what we call direct and indirect costs. And these two have been defined here, direct costs being the cost associated with carrying out the proposed specific activities, including effort of personnel, travel or equipment and supplies that are necessary for the conduct of the grant aims. Okay. But the indirect costs are, they call it hidden costs associated with the conduct of grant activity that an institution absorbs, such as the cost of electricity and administrative support. Institutions are granted a certain indirect cost rate that is applied on top of the grant's direct cost. Funds for this indirect or hidden costs are either used by the institution or specific portion is allocated back to the principal investigator. So what this is that the indirect costs will fund the cost for the personnel or equipment or the items that directly affect the project. The indirect ones are when you receive the grant, because it is not a personal money. It's not a personal money. When you receive the grant will usually go to the institution's institution financial office or something like that. And they will take that money. It's not yours. So they will manage it. They will keep it. And so those who are working in the grant office, who are managing these things, the indirect costs will be used to support their work managing your grant for you. What is the meaning of FA? FA is facility and sorry, I will check that later out for you. But these are facility, I think facility and administration, something like that. So the administrative support, yeah, facility. So those, for instance, paying the cost of rent, lab space, paying the rent for that, and then the administrative support you get for managing the grants. Okay, these are very important questions or considerations you need to ask with regards to who is the funder who will give you the money, because each funder has specifics of what they want to fund. They have rules of how the fund should be managed. They have timelines of how much the fund will stay. For instance, a project I'm involved here is a Nordic based project involving 3 countries here, and we have just been told that we will submit reports for the project, and also that the money that is left after the project ends this year needs to be returned to them. So we can't use that money for anything else, because the funder will take that money back. But it's not a good thing really that you have this money and they're returning it back. So what we have said is to use that money as much as possible and make sure that we don't return back, so we can use it for other projects. And the funder has been contacted that we can use this money for other costs than the one we have stated in the budget, and the funder says yes. So there are rules, different funders. Some funders may say, well, there's no problem. After you send the report, you can continue to use the money we sent to you, you know. So you need to understand the rules of the funders and and apply that in your budget formatting and the description. So somebody is asking here, can one use it to buy a computer to do the research? This is important question. And that is what you need to find out from the funder. You need to ask, usually they will specify the things that
you can use the money for.
Yeah, you can use the money for, and the things you cannot use the money for. So be clear about this and get it on time so that you are sure you are making the right calculations. So don't take anything for granted, because that can deny you even your grant, even when you have a good project. Okay, the specifics. How do you enter the cost? Many funders have template because you submit the grant online. So you have online templates. And in that online template, you just enter the costs. But some funders do not have the template. So when you're preparing grants, you should speak with your institution finance office about this issue, what template they have, because the institutions sometimes have templates, internal templates. Like here, I will always use the institution spreadsheet. Many funders here, for instance, fix the indirect cost to be up to 18%, meaning that what they are paying you for the project, they will add 18% of it, which will be for the indirect cost. So the institution may have its own template as well. So talk with the institution's finance office and get that. So you can see how this is entered. This is just a sample. Yours may not be exactly like this, but it requires you to specify these key issues. Some may be more than this, some may be just this. So okay, the justification. Okay, I have Zainab. You have a question?
Prof, sir, my question is, I see that the cost of the budget in the last slide you presented, the cost, or rather the estimated cost, is higher than what was requested for. Or is it always like that? See, the total requested was 25,373, while the total project cost was 31,465. I was thinking.
Yeah, I can explain that. Okay. That is a very good question. You know, many times, I said this earlier, sometimes the institution where you work may support the project. But they may support the project in kind. That's what they call in kind. So because you may need, you can see some things here. You can see some things here: printing and duplication, envelopes, statistical support. Let me see, maybe data entering, packing for meetings, you know, all this there. The university may not have money to give to you for the project, but the university can say, well, we have printing place, you can print your documents. We have packing place, we allow you to pack for for less than the amount that is usually packed, or you pack it for free. We'll have statisticians who can allow you to seek their support in your project. So this in-kind support can be estimated by the institution. And then they can quantify it. So now that needs to be added, because some funders will ask you to indicate other sources of fund that are available for the project, other sources of fund available to the project. So if the institution is giving you in-kind contribution, you need to state that, and that is what they have done here, that institution is providing us with 10% of the cost. And so this is the total you are requesting. This is what the project will cost when you add the total requested and what the institution is given. That will give you this total here. So this is what you are asking for, and this is what the institution is giving to your project. Is it clear?
Yeah, it's clear, sir.
Okay. I see, Dorothy, you are asking whether you can buy computer for the project. Yes, this is a common thing that happens in most grant applications, and for many funders, yes, that is possible. But check first whether the funder allows that. Okay, check first. Because there are different types of funds. There are some funds that fund only personnel salary and not equipment or not other things. So check that the funder allows you to buy computer with the money. Okay. All right. Now you have this budget. You have it here, specified here. The next thing you have to do is that you need to justify this budget. You need to justify why you're asking these monies. And so you have the section called the budget justification. And this is a place where you provide rationale for the cost and who will be doing what, and why you're asking a certain amount of cost for such people or such item. So this is an example of how you can do that. It's a common thing that you should do. Please also take contact with collaborators, senior colleagues. If you are confused, do not know how to approach it, and let them help you. They can give you some template, or your finance institution, finance department can also help you to draft a budget justification for your budget. Any questions so far? If not, this is where the budget then comes. I've not gone so deep into this because this vary from place to place, and then the funders usually will have a template you need to fill. There is a template I have put in the Dropbox folder. If you want to see another template, you can check that one. And the institution usually also has its own template. So when I apply for grants here, I request from the finance department in my university here, and there's a already indicated template. So if I want, for instance, to recruit a postdoc, they have range of money that postdoc can earn depending on the experience. So I will estimate the experience I'm looking for, and then I'll put the amount there. And that template will automatically calculate what they call fringe pay, or they call it here social cost, holiday allowance, sick leave and things like that. They have insurance, and the template will also calculate the indirect costs, will calculate different things. And so at the end, the template will provide me a table which I can easily copy and paste on the grantor's form, you know. Okay, I have two hands. I have Baba there, and then Zainab will follow after that.
Right. Thank you, Prof. I wanted to ask a question on the slide just before this one. If you could put the slide just before this one.
Yeah, this
where
one?
The budget was. Yes, sir. Yes, sir. The contribution in kind. I was thinking, how is one able to quantify this contribution in kind?
Yeah, you need to work with your finance department. They will be able to do that. You know, you can make that estimate. It's a rough estimate.
Okay.
You know? It's a rough estimate.
Then
because if the project is a one-year project, okay, and then the university knows, okay, for instance, the amount of printing and duplicating and the copying that goes on at the university, and they can estimate that for one person. And so assuming you have 5 persons in your project, and for 1 year, they can make that estimate and then quantify that. It may be envelopes, they can make a rough estimate. Packing for meetings, they can also make a rough estimate, depending on how much meetings you want to have in a year. So these things can be estimated roughly. So go ahead.
So the in-kind, okay, sir. The other what I wanted to ask about was whether you can get us maybe some few samples of budgets that could support
that. Some few samples of budget
some few samples of budgets we can use to guide ourselves, please.
Yeah. I put one in the Dropbox folder.
Okay. All right. Thank you, sir.
Yeah. Yeah, Marion, you know, the university it depends on the resources the university has to support a specific project, okay? It depends on the resources, and it depends on the what's it called? Depends on the resources required by the project. For instance, if you have a project that eventually you may want to organize conferences, you may want to organize big meetings, you may want to host big meetings. The university may decide that they can provide the venue for that. They can provide food for you. And so, because usually you can ask for miscellaneous costs in some budgets. And so you can indicate that a university will provide this, and then that will cost maybe how many % of the budget you are asking for. So this, for instance, you may also be that if you're doing, for instance, statistical analysis, and you're supposed to ask for software to analyze your data, but the university already has that in their computers, and the university says, well, you can use ours, and they don't need to ask for such. It's also possible that the university has standby research assistants who are helping out in research in projects that are run in the university. And so the university can say, okay, we can donate this person to contribute 10% to your project. So you don't need to hire a new person to do that. So this university can depending on the resources they have, they can support your project from different perspectives, okay?
Yeah, thank you. I understand now. Thank you.
Yeah, Esther, your request is not so easy to, I have some grants that have been successful, but many of those are still running, you know, so they remain confidential information, but I can search and see whether there are some on the internet that I can share with you, okay?
The website I shared has got those that have been successful and those that have failed. It's an open access.
No, I mean that has the grant applications and different.
Yeah, grants that have succeeded and failed are there.
Okay, great. So please please follow Marion's link. I think that would be helpful. Yeah, if the university does not provide any support, then you can't indicate any in kind support. But you need to think about it, because it is not only when the university says we are going to support you in this way. It's not only that. You may make that assessment to see what are the things you are able to use from the university. Can you use the library services free of charge? Can you use the university computers free of charge? Can you use university programs free of charge? Do you need to buy new ones? Do you need to cost to buy new ones? Can you use your secretary free of for her to use her time to contribute to the project? So you can think about these ones, Ngozi, to see whether those are possibilities, and then you can estimate that what it does is that the funder is already thinking that, okay, you have certain things that are in place, so we can support you. But when you don't have anything at all, it also adds some aspect of stress to the project, because you need to start from beginning again to recruit. So they think about these things in this way. So if you have some things that are there, and that is why the preliminary work is important in terms of the project, but also the level of facility that is there available is also important for you to think of. What can I show that I have that will develop confidence that they can support me to add to what I already have? So the university may not declare that we have this, but from your listing, you know what your project needs and you know what is available in your environment. You can indicate in your listing that, okay, I can estimate, and then you can work with your finance office to see how much do you think I can estimate for these things that are available here. I know that it's not so easy for many places where the university some places the university is so much happy when the money comes in, but when you want to get the money and you want their support, they are giving you some excuses. What can you do about that? That is the realities, but you need to find a way to be strategic in getting this. Okay, I hope that is helpful for you. I have Dorothea. Dorothea, do you have questions? Please unmute yourself.
Yes, thank you very much. My question is I have two of them. So the first one was, I was thinking if you could propose some pitfalls to avoid in budgeting that could guide us per your experience over the years. Something that would sort of be a stab in your back after writing a beautiful proposal and then you are just refused because you did something wrong in budgeting. And then there's the second one is in your earlier submission, you talked about the fact that you can send the same application to several funders. How do you go? So assuming you apply to, let's say, 3 funders, and then you are given the you're notified that you've gotten the award at the same time. How do you go around it? Do you accept all, decline some? What's the procedure? And then finally, the same application, you want a grant for it and realize along the line, maybe you're under budgeted, so you need more funds to continue the project. And then you apply for a subsequent grant elsewhere. How do you justify, and so that the funder doesn't see it as you duplicating the same project? How do you justify that? So these are my questions. Thank you.
Those are important questions. If I forget any, please remind me. I will try to remember. Okay. What are the tips? These are very important questions, Dorothea, because you can easily make mistake. One of the tips is that mind the zeros. Mind the zeros. Okay, so if it's $1,000, be careful that you are not putting those numbers when you are feeling sleepy, and then you add 1 0 extra or 2 zeros. So be careful of that. Then 2 is that you have to respect the limit the funder is asking that you estimate your cost. Respect that limit. Don't go beyond that, because then they will see that you are not serious if you go beyond their limit. The way you can do that is that if your project is going to take $100,000 and the funder gives only $20,000, so you describe in your budget justification, and in your budget itself you can cost that total budget cost is $100,000 a year. What you are requesting is $20,000, which is the maximum the funder is giving. So all these costs here will be for $20,000, and you can say costs requested elsewhere. Then you can indicate the 80,000. Okay, so keep yourself within the limit of the funder's request. And then in your justification, you should provide a clear description of what you would like to accomplish with that 20,000, because it will not be enough for the project. It's underfunded. So you have to justify that we will, for instance, use this 20,000 to do this amount of work. At the same time, we are applying for other sources to get this additional money. Okay. Then if you are making your budget, because this is quite something that you can easily make mistakes, you need to be sure that you get it right. So start on time. Consult those that need to be consulted on time. Start on time, and don't rush it, because rushing it may introduce mistakes. And then if you are costing your salary, you're costing the fringe costs and all those, consult your finance department, and so that you don't under or overestimate those costs, because the funders have idea of what these things are, you know. So if you have a postdoc, that the postdoc cost salary is in the region of 3,000 to 4,000 euros, and then you're bringing a postdoc, you're costing 5,000 euros. So what is this person coming to do? But if it is really 5,000, because you may have people who have certain skills that you need, and you pay a lot for them, then you justify that we're asking for this because this is the amount that this such person will usually earn, so that the funder knows what the situation is with that. So start on time and ensure that you make the necessary investigation. Work with your finance department to ensure that you have everything in place. And then talk with your institution to see what they can support. If you are a young investigator, sometimes the university wants you to come in to develop your career, and so they can waive some things that they usually will ask people to, the facility usage, rental, and all those. So that will be their own aspect of support. So try to get in contact with your institution and to see what support they can give to you. And then if you, I think this question came yesterday or 2 days ago about applying to several sources at the same time. Yes, that is what you should do really right here, because hardly would you get all the money you need to carry out that project from one particular funder. So you have to apply to several funders at the same time. And if you get the money and the money is too much, then you go back to the funder to tell them this is, just be transparent, because that is what it should be. We have gotten this amount from this source, and then we have this amount from this source. I think we need to complete this project 20% or 50% of your fund. Do you want us to return this money? Or there are aspects, I mean, you can get into negotiation, because when they give that money, that's what they have budgeted. They don't like, taking it back like that. There are aspects that you may think of bringing in. You may want to establish a lab and buy some stuff into the lab, but that you have possibility of using some money to do this kind of things, if they will allow you to do that. So get in touch with them, and perhaps they come back to you and say, okay, no problem. Thank you for contacting us. Please use as you have stated, and we need a report at the end of the project how this money was used. So apply to several sources. Then the last point you made, if the project is coming to an end and you're applying for that fund, really be strategic, Dorothea. The first, if you apply for one grant, it is make it a stepping stone to the next grant. Okay? Make it a stepping stone to the next grant. As you're getting this grant, you're already thinking of the advancement you're going to make from this project. Think about that. Let's not the pipeline of your project you have designed be the end of the story. You have to begin to think of, the next story you're going to do it, so that as this is getting off, you're already planning what's next I'm going to bring into my research that will lead me to apply for continuation of this aspect of my project, and then that will allow you to apply for funding. I don't know if that is clear enough for you.
Yeah, that's very clear. Thank you very much.
Okay. All right, I have Prof. Chukwuma. I want to say something. Please unmute yourself and speak.
Where you work, you were employed for research, if I'm not wrong. Now, how would people who are not, used to getting these funds get to know real funders? Is it just search on the net and do an integrity test? Or how would African scholars and scientists, expand their knowledge in regards to funders? Because here we know we have TED Fund in Nigeria as the only one. So it might be helpful if you can tell us more about that, how people can get funding.
Well, Theo shared a link, I think 2 days ago, and I have a document Eman has prepared. I put in Dropbox folder. You can check the internet is excellent nowadays. You can search and find information, and of course you have a network. You have a network, both national and international network. So get in touch with the network. Ask colleagues what ideas they have, what information they have. They can share that information. I think this is a very good question. I think, like I mentioned on Monday, we can take this going forward. If you know sources, because I have your emails, if you know sources of funding you think we do not have in the collection we already have now, please let me know so that we can put in the collection and also begin to share it around. But otherwise, you need to really do good homework, good research to find some of these funds. You need to do that. If I tell you that there are some foundations not really funding scientific research per se, but they are funding some intervention efforts. You have T.Y. Danjuma Foundation, which is part of what Airman has given there. You also have, for instance, Dangote Foundation. You also have MTN Foundation. They are funding some intervention. But one thing is that as academia, you know that these people have, so much money, and perhaps they will have not been persuaded enough to really invest into funding scientific research. We can set up a movement that will, begin to lobby, because that is how these things work. You need to lobby. These things through so that people, these foundations can begin to, think of supporting research, scientific research. So you need to do your homework, but I think collectively as a people, we also have a work to do to develop more diverse sources of having fun for our research projects. But being employed as a researcher or not, I think I have mentioned this quite a lot during this week, that we should have always the big picture in mind. Why am I at the university? People thought and established the university for a purpose. And I think in the era we are, we should begin to think that we are the future of our continent. Why do I go to the university? Why am I a scientist? If eventually you teach or you research, whatever you do, it does not have the big picture of influencing the society for good, then it's not really worth it. So anybody can do research. Take, for instance, the COVID. Look at primary school children, secondary school, university, thinking of how do we add value? And they bring very locally made hand washing machine and things like that. So those are research science working in reality. And when we are at the university, you don't say, well, I'm not employed as a researcher, I'm a teacher, I'm a lecturer, so I will focus on that. I don't have the skills. Get the skills. That is why we advertise this project. If you have not written grant applications before, it's not simple for anybody. Then get the skills and begin to struggle with it. That is how you begin to try and error, and you practice and you become better. Okay, I'm not sure if that answered your question, Prof.
Yeah, good. It's okay.
Okay.
Yes, I just wanted to know, because one has to really go out there, seek out funders, look at what they really want, and tweak whatever you are doing, like what you said the other day in regards to the type of work we do, that we can tweak it towards flooding and all the rest of it. It's appreciated.
Okay. Zainab, do you have a question, or was it old hand you raised?
I think it's clear now. I initially had a question, but it's clear now. You have explained it before you went on, so it's okay.
All right, great. Okay, any other final questions that you want to ask? All right, group six, give us your nuggets. It's group 6 there. Group 6.
Yeah, just I will share my screen.
Okay, great.
You see my screen?
Not yet.
Hello, is it?
No, not yet. Not
Is it
yet.
appear? Not yet.
We don't see you yet. If you, okay, now it's coming.
Hello?
Yeah, we can see that. Go ahead.
Okay. Our nuggets about what to do when your project or your grant is rejected. It's given an overview about the idea about how the grant application play out, and it shows the reason of grant application success and why and way to deal with the rejection. So the researcher should aim for different strands.
Sorry, sir. If you can use the if you can, because your downside is blocked by the some slides. So if you can put it on presentation mode, I think that will help. Are you using PowerPoint?
Yeah.
So on the right side down there, you can see something that looks like what is it? You press it, put it on presentation, because we are not seeing all the text you have on your screen. Something is blocking it there. I think you're not on presentation mode. Is this Mac? Are you Mac or Windows?
No. I use the presentation in my phone.
Oh, your okay, your phone. So perhaps, yeah, nice, good. Nice, but it's back. Yeah, it's good. Yeah, it's good.
Okay. So the first thing, the researcher should aim for different strands of funding to cover various aspects of their work, because it's safer than seeking one major grant. So they have to apply for different grant with different, they break out their budget. Then they should think about how they can split their personal proposal up and target into other organizations. The first step toward applying to different funders without having to start from the scratch each time. Also, the researchers, they have planned for rejection because it's a crucial part for granting process. The researchers should share their rejection and sit back with others, with their colleagues, and they have to know that they are not alone. Then the applicant can ask the funder for the feedback why their grant is rejected, and avoid to take the feedback personally. Then applicant after the feedback should revive their work after seeing the message of this nugget that don't feel alone or don't depressed when your grant is rejected, and take time for recover and start again.
Thank you. Thank you. That's great.
Thank you.
Okay, any addition from group 6? You can stop sharing now. Okay. Zainab, do you have any issue?
Yes, I saw as part of the suggestion they are making that one should try to split the project or proposal into pieces such that you can apply for different grants of different components. So I want you to shed more light on that. How can it be? Maybe for instance, now on writing on, let's say, maybe trying to save children between 6 months to under 5. Maybe there's having malnutrition problems, trying to salvage malnutrition problem. So, you know, if I'm bringing out a proposal, it's going to be like something really wide and broad. So is it that one can break up components, maybe one objective should be funded by a different body, or what does that mean?
Well, I think that is quite an important question. Dorothea was asking a similar question before, sending your application to different funders. One thing is that funders are usually of different sizes. There are some funders that are quite big. They can fund your project. Funders can give you millions. For instance, Bill and Melinda Gates Foundation can give you millions of dollars to run your project. And then you have more than enough money to run the project. But if you come down to the local level, you have some funders that can only give you 10,000 euros when you need 100,000 euros. So if you have, we are able to get only 10,000 euros, why do you apply for 100,000 euros from that? So in that sense, you can break and use maybe one objective because that is what that maximum they give can accomplish. That is one thing you can do, but the other thing you can do is what I described when I was responding to Dorothea, that you can put all the costs there and tell them that the 10,000 euros you're applying for will be used to solve the first objective, okay? And then you have applied to other funders, you know, so you can measure the amount the funder can give, and then you can apply to several funders using the same proposal, but you indicate in the proposal that funder A, I will solve objective 1, funder B, I will solve objective 2 if I'm giving this money, funder C, I will solve objective 3 if I'm giving this money. So the total amount will cost this, and I'm asking for this since that is what they give, and I have applied to solve objective 2 and 3 from these different sources, you know. So you can do it that way. I think the point the writer is making there is that you shouldn't just put all your eggs in one basket thinking that once I apply, I'm gonna get it. You should plan for rejection. That is clear. And how do you plan for rejection? One is that you should have a mindset of failure. Failure. I think that is one topic we should discuss sometime in the future within the Frontiers initiatives. We'll come back to that. How do you deal with failure? But you know that failure is part of the process of scientific inquiry. Failure. One, as a body of science, and two, as individual scientists, failure. So you have to find a way to deal with failure. And that failure comes in, even in grant writing. It will be very rare to find a scientist, regardless of wherever they have been, Nobel laureates, who say that all grants I applied, I got, or all papers I submitted were accepted. No. There are failures, and you have to find. And then the second thing is that apart from being psychologically prepared for the failure, you should also strategically plan for the failure. So if I don't get it from this foundation or from this funder, where else do I send it? Prepare for that, because it will come. Like I told you, I've gotten my own funding over the years, and I was saying that there's around 20 to 30% of success in that, but it improves over time because you learn the strategies, you learn the skills, you begin to develop well as a scientist, to perform your work better, to think in bringing impact. So it's something that develops over time. Then you improve in overall picture of this process. Is that clear for you?
Yes, sir, it's clear now.
Great.
Thank you.
Okay, I think we have to continue. I will send you out. My work is almost done today, but you can continue fine-tuning the different aspects, your topic, the aims page, the background, the methods we have discussed, the impact section, and if you think you have a budget you want to add to that, that would be great. But what I want to do now is to send you so that you can work on continue to work on your project. Okay, and so I will see you tomorrow then. So I'm just sending you now to your breakout rooms. If you don't have your group attached to your name, please rename yourself and add the group. I have Bello, Dorothea, Folusho. Please put your group to your name so that I know the group you are sending there. Safa, I need you to put rename yourself and put your group in your.
I'm sorry, sir. I went to the wrong group. I'd written group 5.
Yes, okay, yeah, just give me a minute.
Yes.
Marion, what group are you really?
4.
Group 4, okay.
Yeah, thank you.
Can you send me again to my proper group? I went to another group by mistake. I had not written properly. I'm sorry, sir.
So you're supposed to go to what group?
I'm supposed to be in group 1. I'd written group 5 by mistake earlier. I'm so sorry.
No problem. So I sent to group 1.
Okay, thank you.
So Safa, what group are you?
3.
Group 3.
Yeah.